First aid. 6 life-saving steps if you're first on the scene of an accident. A skilled professional is unlikely to arrive at an accident scene first. They remain crucial to how the incident will affect the parties involved and may even aid in the recovery of casualties. Therefore, receiving health and safety training and learning the fundamentals of first aid procedures could save lives. The abbreviation DRIVE, ABC, which stands for danger, response, airway, breathing, and circulation, may be helpful if you're the first person on the scene of an incident. These 6 life-saving actions can be very helpful before the emergency services arrive. Here, we'll examine each of these 6 potentially life-saving actions. Step 1. Recognize and lessen potential risks. The accident's hazard can continue to provide a threat to the victim, neighboring residents, you as the first responder, and even other casualties. Therefore, you must ensure that the place is secure before you start providing first aid. For instance, if there was a car collision, you might need to try to stop traffic. However, if a machine was involved, you would need to turn it off. Step 2. Call for help. Calling for assistance increases the likelihood of a successful conclusion significantly, so avoid attempting to handle an accident's aftermath by yourself. This implies that one person can render first aid while another can stop traffic and dial 911. However, you shouldn't leave the area until you know how any casualties are doing. Step 3. Check for a response. First, speak to the person loudly and clearly to see whether they are responsive. If you don't get a response, try giving them a gentle shoulder shake or pinching their earlobe to get their attention. If a major bodily harm is suspected, an earlobe pinch is probably the safest move. Go to step 4 if you are still not getting a response. When dealing with several casualties, you must give priority to those who don't seem to be responding. Step 4. Check the casualty's airway. If the victim is responsive, you might be able to assist them in opening up their airway. But, if they are not, you will need to position them so that the airway is open. Gently place your hand on their forehead while they tilt their head back and open their mouth naturally. Lift their chin and open up their airway with 2 fingers from your other hand. Avoid tilting their head back if a spinal injury is suspected. Instead, gradually elevate their jaw with 2 hands to help them open their airway. Step 5. Check the casualty is breathing. Once the airway is clear, you should use one of the following techniques to make sure the patient is breathing normally. Check to determine whether you can hear the casualty breathing by listening to their mouth and chest. Check to see if the chest naturally rises and falls. Put your cheek next to the victim's mouth to check if they are breathing. Make an emergency service call right away at 911 if the victim is not breathing. Then, if the responder is confident doing so, they should do rescue breaths and chest compressions in accordance with optimal CPR practice. Step 6. Check the casualty's circulation. Identifying any serious bleeding is the last stage in the first aid primary survey, which you should try to stop by applying pressure with your fingers or clothing. If a limb is bleeding, elevate it above the level of the heart to stop the blood flow. Additionally, you must confirm that 911 has been dialed and work to keep the victim from going into shock because people may become alarmed when they learn they are bleeding. If the victim is responsive, you should also try to get further information about the occurrence before the emergency services come. This could be useful when they do arrive, especially if the patient later loses consciousness.